Survival games have almost always been accepted with good acclaim as we know today, especially multiplayer games that enrich the experience and allow for a deeper interaction with your friends and the gameplay. And no, I don't mean Minecraft, Terraria, Raft, or anything that falls under a sandbox-esque category, though they have seen their success from the general public. I'm talking about real survival games where you have to fight to survive an onslaught of enemies or be hunted with your life on the line. Think of games like Dead by Daylight or Left 4 Dead, which fall under the horror survival genre. Typically in these games you have some integration with PvP aspects, with the enemy being controlled by a real player. I think a game that highlights this type of style is Sonic.exe Disaster 2D Remake. But what exactly is Sonic.exe the Disaster? What is the Sonic.exe and why the hell is there a disaster? Well, I don't know. And I don't think any of you need an explanation on who or what a Sonic is, let alone the not so scary creepypasta. But nonetheless, it all starts with a game on Roblox of all places, with the name Sonic.exe The Disaster by Outlake, which is a team game in which you work together with your survivors to avoid the killer over a period of time, so you can escape and win. A simple concept really, but what makes the game so distinct is when you die, you don't stay dead and wait for your next turn, you actually get back up and join the killer team. Think of it as a glorified game of tag, or like an infection or something. I don't know. The game itself doesn't really control like most Sonic games with momentum and shit, which could be caused by the Roblox engine limitations or just a reason to keep the game simple. You jump around like it's Roblox in a 3D environment. Because of this, I guess the game could be rebranded to anything, because it's really just using Sonic characters for the brand. Something that this game does well, however, is the fact that every character has their own ability, creating variety, replayability, and diversity between survival. But I'm getting too carried away with myself here. I'm sure you're ready to hear me talk about how the second dimension even matters. In 2023, Sonic.exe The Disaster Remake was made for the LuigiKid.exe contest and won first place by a majority vote. And when I say majority vote, I mean a lot, like more than half the votes went to the game. As a result, it received rising popularity from the fans and has its own community behind it. It was later further updated and developed to become its own iteration of the original horror survival game on Roblox. This includes new mechanics, maps, and characters. All things considered, the gameplay is a lot more faithful to a classic Sonic game with slopes and ways to build up your speed, giving more of a reason to be using the Sonic title. Just because it's a 2D side-scroller doesn't make it inferior, however. Now that it's in 2D, you're taking away the ability to observe your surroundings by moving your camera around. This means that whatever's on your screen in this game is what you'll be seeing around you, giving you a limited view. Now, I know what you're thinking, so what if the game is in 3D? That just means I'll be running around the map for a few minutes until I win. Just now I'll be in 2D. Well, buddy, the game and the mechanics expect you to use your unique character abilities to evade and hide from the killer until you can gain an escape and win. So there's plenty more depth than you expect. Just like the original, it can start off as a 6v1, 6 survivors and 1 killer, but the tables can quickly turn if too many people are killed. The method of character choosing is also the same between versions. You can choose from 6 survivors, and everyone is a different character, meaning they cannot coexist. You have a small chance each round of the game to be chosen as Sonic, who is the killer. This chance is shown as an increasing percentage every round you are not chosen to start as the killer. This percentage resets to 1% after a round where you were Sonic. Almost all of the survivors have a stun ability that allows them to stop or slow down their killers so they can get away if they're currently in conflict. This game takes most of the characters from the Roblox counterpart, but leaves out the newer ones because of continuous updates. As of right now, the 6 survivors you can play as are Tails, who can shoot a laser with varying stun power and hover in the air for a short period of time. Knuckles, who can perform a solid punch and glide in the air, which also gives you the option to launch onto a wall. Dr. Robotnik, who can double jump, place slowing traps for Sonic, and spawn a damaging electric shield. Amy, who can swing her hammer and uppercut, which also doubles as a super jump. Cream, who can glide, speed boost, and spawn 3 rings at her command. And Sally, who can air kick, slide to gain momentum, and spawn a protective shield that negates damage. This game also adds 3 new Sonic.exes, not seen in the Roblox version, which all have their unique abilities and methods of dealing damage to the survivors. This means there are 4 in total that you can play as once you're selected. You can be the original Sonic.exe, who can turn invisible for a short period of time. Execier, who can place damaging black rings. Exceller, who can create 2 static clones who he can teleport to. and Chaos, who has an air dash and can transform into water for a higher mobility, but at the cost of losing his other abilities. One big change this version adds is the collectible rings, which are scattered throughout the maps. These rings can be used to heal the player or revive down allies. Speaking of healing, the health in this game is quite different from the original, and now you start with 5 strict health points that can go down if you get hit by a killer or a stage hazard. Once you lose all of your health, you get downed, and another survivor must come and revive you. You need a total of 10 rings to heal 1 hit point and a minimum of 3 rings to revive a downed ally. If you already have 10 rings and have a full health bar, you can collect more and heal a damaged player by holding the up key next to them, costing you a respective amount. Rings do not scatter like the traditional Sonic games, meaning you cannot pick them back up, and you lose all of them when you get hit. The original Roblox game had rings too, but they were red rings, that are also present in this game. Upon collection, they send the players into a semi-blinded state for a short period of time, with red static covering the screen. This prevents the user from using their abilities and reveals their location to Sonic. As stated before, the game doesn't always end for you if you're killed. You're given a second chance if someone else comes to revive you when you're downed. However, the game gives your teammates 30 seconds to find your body, and if they do, you respawn where you got down with 2 health. If they fail to find you downed in the time given, you become evil, and dubbed by the game as being demonized, which just means you're part of the killer team. The player can also be directly demonized if they die after they've already been revived once. There's a limit on how many demonized survivors can be in a round. For balancing purposes, only half of the round survivors can become demonized after death, with the others staying dead until the round ends. All characters and killers have cooldowns on their abilities, which balances the game from becoming a total shit show of infinite stunning or damaging, obviously. The survivors have a healthy cooldown between their abilities to stun the killers. Notice how they stun and don't do damage to the killers. This is because every killer actually has no health and therefore cannot be killed. This keeps the game from being won in any alternative method, so the only way to win is to outlive the killers. If a survivor has been demonized and become a killer, they have faster cooldowns, and their abilities now do damage to the remaining survivors. I know the Roblox game, especially now, has very high stun creep because the cooldowns of the characters are too low, and it's very easy to go overwhelmed as a killer by them. Springs also have similar cooldowns, having a short period of time when you can use one again. This prevents a player from bouncing over and over again on a spring, and balancing out the gameplay more. Something notable is the change of some character abilities when a survivor is demonized. Specifically, Eggman, Cream, and Sally have changed mechanics. Eggman's placeable mines now slow down survivors instead of killers. Cream spawns 2 red rings near her, and Sally's shield shatters after 5 seconds that can deal damage to the survivors. Opposing the other characters, the 4 Sonics have a very short cooldown on basic attacks like kicking or punching that damage the survivors. These attacks can shatter and remove the rings in the map. Each of these 4 killers have their own unique special ability, which all track the closest remaining survivor. Sonic.exe can locate players when he turns invisible. Excelsior can locate players when he places a black ring. Exceller can only be informed when a survivor is near one of his placed clones, and Chaos can track survivors when he's in a liquid form. These abilities, of course, have longer cooldowns. Another addition to the 2D remake is the larger number of maps that the game has to offer, each having different sizes, branching paths, and gimmicks. The game categorizes these maps into 4 difficulties: easy, medium, hard, and madness. There are 5 easy maps, 7 medium maps, 5 hard maps, and 3 madness maps for a total of 20 maps to choose from. The time of each round is actually calculated by a formula including the map difficulty and the number of survivors in a round. The default time is 3 minutes, with 25 seconds being added for each survivor in the game. An easy map adds 25 seconds to the total, medium doesn't add any extra time, hard removes 25 seconds, and madness removes 25, but only adds 10 seconds for each survivor. Something else in their moveset is the passive spin mechanic players can perform. In the Roblox game, players jump around like it's fucking Mario. In the 2D remake, some characters can spin jump into a ball whenever they jump. Tails, Knuckles, and Cream can jump into a ball, while Eggman, Amy, and Sally have a standard jump. Killers can damage survivors if they spin jump into them, and a killer and a survivor can bounce off of each other if they both come in contact when spin jumping. I don't fully understand this mechanic because when they bounce, sometimes the survivor stays in their ball and sometimes they're forced out and made vulnerable in the air. Every Sonic has the option of cancelling their spin in the air, which removes their bouncing, but I'll get to the practicalities of that in a moment. The spinning mechanic makes half of the roster more susceptible to damage, and the other half practically have extra layer of defense when coming into contact with a killer. The lack of spin jumping for some characters requires them to play cautiously when moving at high speeds. Another way for survivors to bounce off of each other is in the form of parrying. When a survivor's attack hits at the same time as a killer's attack, both players parry and fly back from each other, and each are given a few invincibility frames. This effect can be pseudo-replicated with Sally's shield, as when that is hit by a killer, both parties fly back from each other. Interestingly, all of Amy's attacks cannot be parried by any killer, and she will take stun or damage priority when attacking. One final addition to this game I want to highlight is the hiding ability. Around the map, there are objects that the player can hide behind. You can tell if something can conceal you if you walk behind it, and when you crouch, your character becomes transparent. Your health meter is hidden from players and killers, but each object and character have varying sizes, so the effectiveness of hiding depends on these factors. If you're not hiding well, killers may still able to see your body behind an object, even if your character is fully covered by a hiding structure. Sonic can still track you with the arrow they're given, pointing right to you. There are some drawbacks to hiding, however. The ability to completely remove your visual from the game is overpowered in its own right, but the game balances this with the camping punishment. When a survivor hides or stands still in one spot for too long, the game will bring up flavor text that is along the lines of not moving, and your movement speed will be reduced for a short time after you leave your camping spot. This is just one of the many time mechanics in the game. Much like the survivors, the killers have penalties for camping too. If Sonic stays around a down body, the 30-second timer does not tick down, and increases the amount of time the other players have to revive the survivor. Something important to every round is the sudden death time. When there's 2 minutes left in the match, the game goes into sudden death, which just means that there are no revives for dead players. Anyone killed is either demonized or they stay dead. But enough fucking around, how do you actually win the game? Survivors can win when there's only 1 minute left in the round and the green ring spawns, which is the exit for them. The big green ring spawns somewhere random on the map, and it's the player's job to find it and jump into it to win. As a survivor, you'll lose if you die or you fail to locate the green ring when the timer reaches 0. As Sonic, you win if every survivor is killed, or when they fail to escape. You lose as the killer when at least one person escapes through the green ring. The method of escaping has its caveats though. Even though the green ring spawns, it will always be transparent for 10 seconds before the survivors can jump into it. Collecting a red ring when the exit is spawned will make it impossible for a survivor to leave and win the game for the duration of the red ring state. Also, during the escape time, invulnerability for the survivors is shorter after they get hit, which makes them easier to kill. Okay, now that we've discussed how the game plays, I want to expand further on how everything works together and how you can use it to your advantage. I also want to express my annoyances and what you shouldn't do when playing. I just want to start off with my gratitude for being Sonic. I just like being the main hunter. It's so fun and it's rewarding when you get a win. Because you can demonize people, you can recruit survivors who have their ability to kill, and the game becomes super strategic, which I love. I don't know, maybe it's just because you have such a low chance every round, that it's nice when you have chosen to go on a killing spree, chipping away at the health of your survivors. The choice of your Sonic killer is super important too. I see Sonic.exe as the standard go-to killer if you don't know who to pick, because he'll do 2 damage to the survivors, and you'll get a simple invisibility trick that can create some great ambushes if people are off guard. Exegure is my favorite out of all the killers, but it requires a higher level of thought process because of his damaging placeable rings. They do 1 damage each, but they can be countered if a player already has 5 rings on hand. The definitively best way to play him is to place the rings in areas survivors must go through to get to another place, like a spring or a tight passageway. If a player is moving too fast, a strategic black ring can be placed so that if they're moving too fast, they won't have enough time to react and will probably run into it. One final tricky placement is when you're fighting someone and dealing damage to them. Black rings can be collected even if survivor has invincibility frames, so hitting them and then placing a black ring behind them can be set up for a nasty combo. He also has a fast damaging stomp that creates a shockwave when he hits the ground, which I think is a cool attack and is a great way to deal out good damage to the survivors. Acceler might be the hardest to master and play because of his teleportation ability. I think there's great potential to set up for a combo. I know your momentum and attacks get carried over when you're teleporting, so you can surprise someone if you know they're heading towards a clone. I have the most desire to get a good ethic to play as him, but he has a high learning curve. Chaos is definitely the coolest Sonic out of all of them, just because of his fluidity and his dash. Like, god damn, bro. Holy shit, he has a dash. He is the fastest and has the highest mobility out of any EXE, but to be realistic, he only does a piss ass 1 damage with all of his attacks, even his basic punching. I think he's drawn back by this, as 1 damage is basically nothing if you're not on someone comboing them. He's a weak pick if you don't know how to dish out quick damage. I do think that the theory behind his animations is a genius addition. Like, because he's a water creature, his animations are more fluid and looser than everyone else. But his dash leaks water droplets when he's airborne, giving his location away even more than normal. It's a nice flavored touch, and I think it's better that it's kept in the game rather than removed, but this just makes him a worse option overall. Every Sonic can cancel their spin jump, which is an exclusive passive ability that they possess. This removes the bouncing, and they pass right through the survivor. Sometimes the bouncing sends you back in the opposite direction if you're chasing a survivor. I like the ability to cancel the spin because instead of bouncing off a survivor, you can intelligently set up for an attack from behind if they're running from you. There's another level for improvement and mastery there as a killer. But seriously, you can't really fully rely on randoms in servers because they'll probably just do a mediocre job anyways. I know when I see a Tails player, they're almost always shooting their laser cannon at nothing. More often than not, you'll see them shooting absolutely no target. But hey, let's talk about that charging mechanic. The game gives you the option to charge the blast at 3 levels, scaling with each damage or stun. Like, when I got hit as a killer with that maxed out charge, I was stunned out for a good 4 to 5 seconds, and it was a great opportunity for survivors to get away. I know that you can do a maximum of 3 damage as Demonized Tails, which is fucking stacked, being the highest demonized damage output of a survivor, and with its range potential you can really take down someone that's at decent health. Oh, and Eggman players too. I see some people placing mines all bunched up together that don't even stack slowness to killers, so it's just a waste of an ability. Or when you're trying to work together with your survivors, they kind of just mess up the team's plans. The goal is to work together to ensure the well-being of your survivors so they don't get killed and start hunting you. I see people lose a good amount of rings to BS, like accidentally jumping into an easily avoidable pit of spikes. When I'm Cream, I don't really like spawning my rings for others unless I know they're on the verge of healing, because if I do, they'll probably just go lose them. I know people aren't as cautious as they should be, so they go on losing rings that could have been saved with me, or others, that could save up a stash to heal damaged survivors. You have to be considerate too, however. If you see another player with like 9 rings, with low health or something, and you both are trying to get a ring, just let them heal instead of being greedy. I promise it will help you, yes you, survive longer and increase your chances of winning. One pet peeve I have is when people kill themselves to be a killer. Like, just play the game normally, bro. It doesn't hurt to be a team player. And the worst part is that I can remember a time where I gave someone some rings just to watch them lose them all and repeatedly fall into a pit until they were downed. Like, you are just pissing me off at this point. I could have used those rings, bitch. And then they proceed to come and kill me. So they were just screwing me over. And this goes without saying, but please don't be a friendly EXE. The game basically is over when some shit like that happens because no one gets killed. I know there's some advantages when choosing certain characters. If you really don't know who to choose, just try to pick Knuckles. I see him as a well-rounded survivor with a decent stun punch and a spin jump to protect himself. Dr. Robotnik by far has the easiest contact stun ability because it lasts for a few seconds. All you have to do is walk into them. It can't really be countered until it wears off because it's physical damage versus an electric shield. Like, come on. I know Tails can still hit through it though, which creates some weaknesses for Eggman. Earlier when I said almost all the survivors had a stun ability, I was leaving out Cream. She's really primarily a support character, spawning rings for herself or others to heal or revive. She's compensated for a lack of an attack with a speed boost, which is a great way to go away from any killer chasing you. I know it's multiplicative based on your current speed, so you can fuck it up really easily if you're moving too slow. Her red ring spawning when she's demonized is actually really good, because she can allow for Sonic to track anyone that picks it up and delay their time of getting in the green escape ring. I think the character that gets the least recognition is Sally because of the lack of her spin jump and very situational abilities. Her kick has a slightly faster cooldown compared to everyone else on the roster, which means she can stun more often, but I think her shield needs a buff or something. All it does when you get hit is you don't take damage from whatever attack was inflicted on you. And you get less invisibility frames than normal, meaning that you can still get hit after if you're not careful yourself. The main thing that I see is super useful is her passive ability to slide, which racks your speed up quick. Not only does it make your hitbox smaller so that you can creep under rings and hazard, if it's used correctly, you can really easily outrun your killer, especially on long maps like Hill or the top part of Hide and Seek. Now that we're talking about maps, I find some of them objectively better than others. The game claims to decide difficulty based on the size of the map, number of hazards, and the amount of branching paths, which I call total bullshit on. Certain maps that are in the same difficulty group are degrees harder or easier than others, like Dark Tower, Kinda Fair, and Not Perfect, just to name a few, should be moved into different categories. Fuck Kinda Fair, by the way. I'll get into my rant about it in a second. Most of the maps have understandable or respectable placement because of the different environmental gimmicks, but the game needs to rebalance the ones that just feel so out of place. Some maps I almost never see get chosen in servers are Haunting Dream, Volcano, Torture Cave, and Priceless Freedom, which are all avoided, either because the general community is not familiar with their layouts, or they're just shit that can get you killed easily. But whatever you do, don't ever choose this map, like ever. Majin Forest is absolute dog shit. It's so easy to get killed under 30 seconds. I think the infinite looping horizontal structure is interesting, but the normal ring spawns appear right above fucking spikes, which makes them almost impossible to pick up, and you're most likely to get hurt just trying to pick them up. The spikes themselves are placed in such bad spots, like if you get bounced up by a spring, there's spikes right next to your trajectory, so you'll probably get hit by those, and the spikes on the bottom layer of the map are easy to fall from the top. I don't know why people like this map, like it's usually almost half the server choosing it. Maybe it's all the losers who are still attached to the presence of Majin in other media, which I don't care for. Okay, so Kinda Fair is flawed because of how the physics engine works. It's not difficult to go from a standstill to your maximum speed in a matter of seconds, and because you're moving so fast you can't see what's in front of you. But whatever, okay, like I'll just lose my speed if I can't see a wall in front of me, not a big deal. Kinda Fair throws this belief out the window. Instead of losing your momentum, you run into a wall of fucking spikes. Like this shit is everywhere around the map, it's actually frustrating. Getting hit like this is additively penalizing, as the more rings they have, the more rings you'll lose when you get a damage like this. And to put salt in the wound, the stage gimmick are these speed monitors that lock your direction and your jump if you jump into them. They're always facing a wall of spikes, and I'll admit, I've gotten better with recognizing where I'm at in the map and playing slower, but I just don't think the map is well designed and not beginner friendly in any way. If you ever decide to camp for the entire game, and don't care about the in-game consequences, just know that the game knows and everyone else in the server will know, because at the end results screen of a round, anyone who is camping will get an obvious tag added to after their name. This goes for survivors and killers, so don't think you can finesse the system. Something that I find neat is that this game has a high level of customization to it. You can buy skins, pets, emotes, and icons through the shop. All of these cost coins, which you can mainly get from the game's achievement list. This list is composed of tasks that are mostly out of the way and require planning and careful execution to complete. Other achievements may just be linked to a respective character and map objective that pays homage to the original concepts in the games that the characters and maps are originally from. Everything in the shop is purely cosmetic, so you can pick and choose from whatever you like and what suits you. For the 6 survivors, each one has a skin for their normal and demonized counterparts. There's even a custom skin that allows you to change the color of a certain accessory they have on, which I believe there's 255 options, but I'm very certain there's more. This totals to a whopping 66,564 combinations minimum for customization options when considering normal and demonized states in the game. Each Sonic only has 258 minimum options for their skin, but the game makes up for this by giving them purchasable taunts from the store, which are half JoJo references. A great way to express flavor. Oh, and there's pets that you can add on to every character, which can also be color customized. So there's possibilities for different character attributes in-game, well over 100 million. And there's secret pets, so add some more onto the total after that. I know people in the community and on the Discord server generally tend to gatekeep the secret pet codes you can use to obtain the pets in game upon first ask. I just want to give a middle finger to all the people who are dicks about it, so here's all the secret pet codes that you can type on the credit screen when you go to the About tab on the title screen. I personally don't like using pets because it makes it significantly harder to hide, as they follow behind you, making your character take up a bigger space. Another form of customization you can purchase is a player icon, which can be seen in the lobby when you're waiting and about to start a round. I think these are cute and they're just another way to express yourself to others. According to the game's wiki, to buy all the items in the shop it takes 7,650 coins in total, which is a crazy amount considering the number of coins you receive when you complete achievement. Some odd shit I want to share is the game's server management. Like, the online servers were just fine, I remember many months ago. But the creators of the game forgot to fucking pay the bill for server maintenance, so they were down for a good while. Very embarrassing. but I'll cut them some slack. They posted that it costs around $15 a month to host all the servers together, and I understand people really do not want to pay their hard-earned money for no profit gain. Right now, the only way to play and join servers directly is through the IPs, which I'll list here. You can also find this on their Discord if you ever need it. To wrap up, this game has become one of my favorites in the recent months. I'm grateful for my friend introducing this to me. At first I was surprised to know that there was a 2D remake and I was willing to give it a try. And here I am now, talking about it, and discussing how I've enjoyed it. I know some of my friends and others don't want to play this game just because of the Sonic IP, which is an argument I can understand. Like if you told me to play a game that was based off, I don't know, Hoto Has-Been, I'd be like, hell no, because I don't fuck with that kind of content. I like this game because it plays like classic Sonic and is well designed overall. This video is the first of its kind on my channel and I hope to improve my essay writing skills in the future. There's a total of 17 full pages in the script, so I think I've done a decent job explaining what I need to. I've linked the game in the description for download if you're interested. If you do want to play with your friends, you can use this code .lobby and then whatever server out of 30 you want to play in. Consider that a little secret from me. Although it's not really a secret, you can find this command in the list, but many people don't know about this trick. Please let me know down in the comments if you like this type of video analysis and you'd like to see me do more. Or you can ask me something. Or you can just cuss me out too, that works. Just so we can get some sort of discussion going. I have one more topic planned for the near future and I'm taking advantage of the time I have off school so I can make it. I hope anyone that I know personally doesn't think I'm autistic after finding this video, because I'm just trying to make content that I like. And I just try to be myself, honestly. Please subscribe to the channel if you found anything here entertaining, and I really do hope you enjoyed the video.